Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, and today I want to share with you a couple of tips that I have learned from my cross-country trip. 4 years ago I traveled from the coast of New Jersey to the coast of California, and there are a few things that I have learned. So if you are planning a cross-country trip, whether it's United States or Europe or any other continent, keep watching. Things that I have learned might come in handy for you. My first tip would be make sure that you do not travel when you're sleepy. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, don't push it. Don't try to get 1 or 2 extra hours of driving. It's all about safety. Get into your accommodation. Go ahead and sleep. Get rested. And also when you're driving, when your eyelids are starting to get so droopy and you're getting tired, well, pull over for that 15 minutes, half an hour, and take a nap. And if you're tired and sleepy, you're not paying attention. So make sure that when you drive, you're rested and not sleepy. My number 2 tip would be something that I wish I've done more of. I wish I got out of my car more, and I wish I took more photographs along the way. I also wish I took a little bit of detour here or there and go and sightsee a little bit more. My trip took 3.5 days. I wish I took my time to actually see the sights along the way, because the states are actually beautiful. I have only like about 20 pictures from my trip, and now looking back, I kind of regret taking only 20 pictures. I wish I had 100. Make sure that you do stop, stretch your legs, and walk around a little bit around the sites. Take photographs, make memories, because you never know when's gonna be the next time you're going to do a cross-country trip. Number 3 would be something that kind of ties along with number 2. Go and talk to the locals. You can actually learn a lot from them. Sometimes it's almost like a little bit of different subculture. I was driving through Nebraska and I needed gas, and there was a tiny little gas station on the side of the road. It was beginning of October when I was traveling, and everywhere else was still pretty warm, but Nebraska was looking very, very cold. I get out of the car, it's extremely cold and the wind is so bad. So I get my gas and my hair goes all over my face and I can't see what I'm doing. So I go into that little shop nearby. I started talking with the lady behind the cash register, and I tell her it's super cold, and she tells me, oh, you know what, this is nothing. Drive through here in the winter time. The snow actually goes sideways. So that was quite an experience. I would encourage you to go and talk to the locals, to the gas station people, to the little shop cashiers, and maybe you'll learn something about that area and about the local people there. I think it's really cool. My next tip is something that I actually invented myself, and I think it's a pretty good rule. I made sure that my gas does not go below halfway. Anytime I would see my gas meter hit halfway, I would actually start looking for gas station. One thing I did not want to happen is to be left out of gas and be stranded in the middle of nowhere with no help at all, because it was just me traveling with nobody else. Single woman traveling in the middle of nowhere. That was the last thing that I wanted to happen. So I made sure that I always had gas in my car, and I think it's a good rule. Once again, I was traveling and there was desert all around me, except for a tiny little gas station on the side of the road and a sign saying that for the next 100 miles there will be absolutely no gas stations. I made sure to fuel up. I thought it was a really good rule and I stuck to it. I would recommend doing the same thing. My next tip kind of depends who you're going with. Are you going by yourself or are you going with a whole bunch of friends? Well, if you're going with friends, whether it be 1, 2, 3 or more people, I would strongly recommend that you choose your travel buddies very carefully. I think the success of your trip depends a lot on the people that you go with. Make sure that they have the same traveling priorities, the same travel expectations. However, if you are going by yourself, that's a whole other story. If you are traveling by yourself, learn to embrace the silence. For me, it was just me, myself, and I for the trip. but I loved it because I actually had plenty of time to think about my life. The reason I left East Coast was because my life went into complete crumble, and I decided to leave everything behind and start a whole new life. You don't have to travel in silence all this time. Make sure you get your playlist all prepped up. Get your audiobooks, the books that you've always wanted to listen to or other things that you wanted to listen to. Get that prepped up in advance and you're gonna have plenty of time to listen to it, and it's gonna be a fabulous time, so just embrace it. Another tip is, and I don't remember whether it's 5th or 6th or 7th, I don't know, you guys do the count, but the next big thing actually is food. When you're traveling, sometimes you end up being in the middle of nowhere with no restaurants nearby. If you're traveling in a city or if you're driving through a city, it's not that much of a big deal because you'll always be able to find some restaurants. You always pop it in GPS. It will be no problem finding a place to eat, but sometimes you'll be driving and driving and driving and there will be no place to eat. So my huge recommendation would be to always make sure you have some food in the car. This way you will avoid that situation where your blood sugar goes all the way down, the moods and the attitudes go down. I would actually highly recommend having some kind of granola bar or power bar or fruits or even leftovers from previous meal that you had. Always having that with you in the car because you never know when your next meal is going to happen. It's kind of hard to plan those things out when you're traveling like that. So always make sure you have some backup food with you. So there it is. These are the main things that I have learned from my trip. I'm sure there's a lot more. If you have any other suggestions and recommendations to future cross-country travelers and drivers, go ahead and write it in the comment space. Let me know where you're planning your next trip, and make sure safety first. Until next time.